Not a ton to update. Good scrimmage today. Our second one, a little bit less plays today than last Saturday. The ones and twos last Saturday got about 45. Today was about anywhere between 30 and 35 total. We're rotating guys quite a bit. But the guys went really, really hard. For those of you that want to know, offense won the scrimmage, so the defense will run on Tuesday when we get back. But, again, this is a big weekend for our guys in terms of, students coming back on campus, as well as us giving them a couple days off here. We won't practice again, won't have anything mandatory again until Tuesday. So we're going to really lean on our leaders, our older guys, to make sure that the entire team is going to do exactly what they've been doing here these last few months, which is staying safe, staying smart, and, hopefully get everybody back healthy and COVID-free on Tuesday when we resume. Questions?
Put up your hand raise if you have a question, and we'll get you. Go ahead and start with you, Jeff.
Hey, Tom, I was just wondering if you could give kind of an overview of two position group battles, one being inside linebacker and the other being corner. I know you've talked a lot about both those spots throughout the offseason.
Yeah, not a whole lot to report. I think, the young guys at linebacker are playing well and getting better every day. The David Bendas of the world, Jalen Ford is proven that, he's going to be a solid player for us at some point. We're trying to accelerate that learning curve, and but those guys are doing well. One of the things that I think a lot of people maybe don't realize is we've done such a great job of staying COVID free these last few weeks, few months really, but when a kid comes down with a cold, with the sniffles, with a sore throat, with, an upset stomach, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do and reporting everything to our trainers. And, unfortunately, because of that, then we got to keep those guys out of practice and away from their teammates until we figure out if it is COVID or not, whatever is ailing them. And so we've had, multiple guys miss a practice or two, based on just simple bugs that are going around that have really nothing to do with COVID. But, in order to make sure that it isn't COVID, that they're missing a practice or two. So in response to your question, we haven't really had a full complement of those guys for an extended period of time. Nothing major, certainly, but it's a different crew of guys that go out each day, and so hopefully we get some of that stuff cleared up and can have our full complement of guys practicing for an extended period of time. And then the corners are doing great. We don't worry a whole lot about depth charts 3 weeks out from a game. So but we know that, we feel like we've got 4 capable guys there at corner that we could win with. And it's, a matter of the cream rising to the top at this point.
Go ahead.
Tom, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
You got it, Chuck.
No, and you may not have even had a chance to consider all the implications, but what's your initial reaction to the NCAA eligibility decision that came down yesterday in terms of this year doesn't count in terms of eligibility purposes? How does that affect roster management and everything else that goes into decisions you'll be making going forward?
Well, I think it's the right call, with so much uncertainty going on with different conferences choosing not to play this season. I think that the NCAA got it right, and that's the fair and right thing to do. As far as the implications, you're right, Chuck. We haven't, and I think the biggest thing is we haven't really been given a whole lot of direction, at least specifically about what the effects on the roster management will be, other than, that from what I understand and my limited knowledge of the rule that was passed is that the seniors that would have exhausted their eligibility this year would not count towards your scholarship limits in 2021. But beyond that, I don't know a whole lot about, are they going to manage or change the signing number, stuff like that. I haven't heard, other than the way to stay on track is the way that I understand it is that the seniors, again, that would have exhausted their eligibility this year would not count towards your number next year. So we've still got some answers to get as far as the specifics of that are concerned. But to your first point, I think it was absolutely the right call.
Cedric, go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Tom. When you took this job, you prided yourself on preaching toughness, physicality, and you said no coach ever wants to say we out-finessed them. No one wants to hear that. So with this new set of unique issues that you have to deal with, how are you able to manage how much you hit, how little you hit, based on, what could happen with outbreaks and stuff?
Yeah, I think, in a year like this, you rely on the culture and the foundation that you've set in terms of the standard of what playing championship football at Texas is. And, but we have, this is like no other training camp for a lot of reasons, but, one of the consequences of that is, we're not hitting near as much. And I think this week, we could have gotten 6 practices in. Only 2 of them were in full pads, Wednesday and today. And, we're trying to either have an off day or an off day after a full padded practice, or what we've done like Thursday, we could have practiced and we went out and we had a walkthrough instead of a practice. And we actually had double walkthroughs on Thursday. We did the same thing. I can't remember, last week or something like that. So it is dramatically different, Cedric, dramatically different in terms of the amount of contact that we're having. And it's really not about COVID transmission. It's all about, our guys and the lack of summer training that they had, and trying to build their bodies back into shape on the fly, really. And so just trying to be very cognizant of the shape that our guys are in, and, make sure that we build them smartly towards game one. And, we feel like we've done it. Obviously you're never going to eliminate any and all injuries, but, we are certainly cognizant of the fact that their bodies are not where they have been in the past at this point. And, we want to make sure that, we get to game one fresh and healthy, but still instilling our culture of physicality and toughness. And, so when we do put the full pads on, we got to get a lot of work in a very limited time. Today, again, 30 plays goes by like that. That's not very much. When you think about a game is normally right around 80 snaps. So we played about a quarter and a half today. Last Saturday played about a half. That's it. In the last 2 weeks to basically play 3.5 quarters of football, it is tough to instill that culture. But our guys and our players and our coaches are doing a really good job when we do put the pads on of making sure that those practices count.
Anwar, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you have to excuse the daycare that I got going on back here. Apologize. So in any case, I'm curious about you and Yurcich and that relationship that you guys have. I have a couple of questions that relates to that. It seemed that when you were with Major back in Houston, that relationship worked really well for you. I'm kind of curious for you, what is kind of the ideal OC as far as their roles are concerned, game day, things to that effect, and what you're kind of expecting out of Yurcich?
Yeah, it's been a great marriage thus far. We're cut from the same cloth. We found that out in the interview process, that we value the same things. And Mike's got an excellent track record as a play caller and preparer of game plans. So we've those conversations have long been had, and they're not really there's not a whole lot of discussion of what we envision the offense looking like to this point. Mike's done a great job of bringing quite a few new tempo wrinkles, some new route concepts, which have been great. The QBs and receivers have really liked it. And, but at the end of the day, we all run the same plays. It's not like we went from what we were last year, finishing in the top 15 in the country in total offense to blowing it up and installing the wishbone or something like that. That's not the direction that we felt like we needed to go. And so Mike's done a great job of enhancing the offense. He's done a great job of adapting to our language, so that it's one person learning a new language rather than 50 18 to 22 year olds. And I appreciate that about him. He's done a great job. There are some terms and verbiage that are new, especially in the tempo game and in the throw game, but no, he's done a great job of bringing in some new fresh ideas, and I think they're going to really jumpstart our offense and take us, from a top 15 offense in the country to hopefully a top 10, top 5 offense in the country. But we believe in the same things, and he's going to do a great job calling plays and managing, the game plans and all of that. And I'm really, really confident in that.
But how much, freedom does he have? The perception of the outside is that he's just here and Tom Herman is still controlling everything. So, does he have the autonomy to call the plays that he wants to? Or are you going to say it's a collaborative effort? Like, if it's 4th and short, can he go for it? How much leeway are you giving him, or is it just a Tom Herman controlled offense?
No, I don't know where that perception is. I think, offensive and defensive. This isn't Chris Ash's defense. This isn't Mike Yurcich's offense. This is Texas's defense and Texas's offense. And, we've got two really good minds on both sides of the ball that understand and are very aligned in what we want to do. But, to get into specifics, you asked about 4th down. No, nowhere in America does an offensive coordinator have the autonomy to go for it on 4th down. At least I've never heard of it. That's going to be the head coach's call, regardless of the head coach's background on what side of the ball his background is. And I envision it to be being very similar to what it was like at Houston with Coach Applewhite, which was, myself, I can give input throughout the game planning process. And then on game day, Mike will call the plays on a play-by-play basis. And every now and again, I'm trying to think of examples. Maybe it's, 3rd and 8 from the 20. I might chime in and say, hey, Mike, just all we need is 6, and we're going to go for it on 4th. Or, hey, Mike, Jake hadn't touched the ball in 2 series. We got to make sure we get Jake the ball. Or, hey, Mike, this corner on our boundary is gassed right now. You probably want to go deep on him. Just adding input. But no, Mike's going to call the plays and happened? Where'd you guys lose me? The personality of all the plays and but the personality of the offense was discussed, well into the interview process, and we were in very much lockstep. Mike had lots of options, and he was excited about this one because he knew that our vision of what productive, high-powered offenses look like was very aligned, and he's done a great job thus far.
Sam, go ahead.
Hey, Tom, I'm curious. You kind of touched on a little bit about how the schedule and the way you've built out camp based on the circumstances, but I'm also curious with that first game being on the 12th and then you have a week off in between. Did that impact at all how you guys have drawn up camp or just the schedule, moving forward?
A little bit, not a ton. We still got to win that one on the 12th. And so we got to be ready to play a game on the 12th. And, everything that goes in it from, we got to have all of our 2-minute calls, all of our end of game scenarios, all of our third down, red zone, backed up scenarios ready to go. So, we'll be, if you will, come September 12th, because we got to win a game.
Danny, go ahead.
Tom, how has Tariq Black kind of looked these first couple weeks of practice? I know you guys have gotten a boost the last couple of years from grad transfers, and I assume you guys expect, a lot from him. And is there a story behind him getting the number 0 jersey?
Yeah, Tariq has been a great addition. I'm so thankful we have him. Some of the receivers have gotten dinged up, little ankles here, thigh contusions there that have kept them out here and there. And Tariq has really shown his veteran leadership. He's got a groin that's got to get wrapped every day here the last week, but he goes out and fights through it and practices his tail off. And the 2.5 days off should help calm that down a little bit. But we're very, very thankful that we have him because we need him. And he's done a really good job thus far through 13 practices or 4, whatever today is. I don't know. But and then no story about 0. We said, what number do you want? He said 0. I said, okay. So that's the story.
Greg, go ahead.
Tom, you mentioned having to juggle things around a little bit with the guys having to miss a practice here or there because of some regular common elements. And then juxtaposed against last week where you talked about the scrimmage being a bit sloppy, have you still been able to see a ramp up to and inclusive of today's scrimmage as to where you are 3 weeks out from the start of the season?
Very much so. Yeah. Today was so much cleaner than last week, and that's encouraging. I do want to point out our tight ends. We played damn near the whole scrimmage today in 12 personnel because we're so thin at wideout right now with some bumps and bruises and guts and sore throats and all that stuff. And so, and then obviously Troy's out for a considerable amount of time. So those guys stepped in, and I mean, Mike had them playing all over the place, outside receiver, inside receiver, tight end. It didn't matter. They didn't miss a beat, and the offense actually won the scrimmage, which was encouraging. So, our coaches are having to get creative when a position group gets thin. And I was really proud of the offense and the tight ends in particular today of being able to step in and pick up the flag, so to speak, and still be productive offensively. So, I was really proud. I'm excited about the trajectory based on, what I saw today as compared to last week, which I think was the crux of your question. We've definitely gotten better in every phase.
Steve, you have a question?
Yes, please. Hey, Coach. Talk to us about Sam a little bit in the quarterback situation. I mean, he came in obviously doing a lot of work on his own in the offseason. He said he was really happy with where the offense was with Mike. What have you seen from him since he's been back that shows that he's a potential Heisman Trophy winning type guy?
Yeah, well, one, you look at his stats, and I appreciate you putting that last part in there. I do think Sam is one of the top players in the country. We really do. And when you played at the level that he's played for so long, human nature is to get maybe a bit complacent, and this guy's got none of that in him. And he's really, really worked on. I mean, it's amazing. The guy's been throwing the football probably since he was 5 years old, and every year he's refining, tweaking, whatever phrase you want to use, trying. It's like the Holy Grail, right? He's trying to get the perfect motion. We know it doesn't exist, but the perfect one for him. And he's doing a really good job right now of working on, much like he did last year. But I think this year I've noticed a bigger jump from his off-platform throws. I think he's getting the ball out on, one of the things that Coach Yursich brought was again an enhanced RPO game, and he's getting the ball out quicker from a lot of different arm angles. So the guy's constantly working. He's never satisfied. He's the competitor that you see on Saturdays is the same competitor that he is with himself. And, he's competing with himself every second of every day, and to get better individually, because he knows then that's going to help our team get better as well. And this year's no different. He's constantly tweaking, enhancing, trying to perfect different things. And it's really fun to watch. He's such a great example for our young guys too.
I got one from Brian Davis. He's not pictured.
That's a new one.
Tom, you there?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, technology. I love it. I wanted to ask you about the running backs. Last August showed that you can never have too many of those guys. And I wanted to know, what are some of your thoughts now about Keontae, Roshan, and Bijan, just the room as a whole right now, and how you envision the workload unfolding in the first month of the season?
Well, I think that the talent level is certainly there. Our three guys on scholarship are really good players. We feel like we can win a lot of games with any of those three guys back there. The thing that is glaring is the depth. To only have three scholarship players practicing, and at a very violent, physical position is a little bit, makes you a little bit apprehensive. But they've had a really good camp thus far, and we're 3 weeks away from the first game. So what the rotation is like, what how many carries a guy is going to get, how many plays, I have no idea. We're rotating them all with the ones and twos right now, and we'll figure that out as we get closer to game day.
Got time for two last ones, Jeff and then Cedric.
I just want to ask about Caden, just his health, him being back healthy, and then Kerstetter.
Yeah. No, Caden's been great. He's really taken to Coach Ash and our new scheme, and has had a really, really good, however many, 12, 13, 14 practices. And Derek Kerstetter, I mean, holy smokes. What a awesome teammate. What a phenomenal leader guy that, is going to have a long career beyond football. I think he'll have a long one in football too. A lot of people don't realize Derek Kerstetter athletically is one of the most athletic offensive linemen that we have. I think he's a low 30-inch vertical guy. His 10-yard split in the 40 is, I think, is the fastest of all the offense. Him and Cosme are kind of neck and neck there. But Derek is a much better athlete, in my opinion, than people give him credit for. We see it every day. But no, his versatility is and leadership and toughness is, we're gonna miss it when he's gone, for sure.
Go ahead, Cedric.
Hey, I've been enjoying DeMarvion Overshawn's tweets about the NBA here lately, but as far as football is concerned, how's he taking the will moving down? And also, how's the linebacker room look overall? You mentioned that as an area of concern earlier in the spring.
I don't know. And DeMarvion's taken to it very well. You know, that was evident the very first time we put pads on, and he was in the box, made a bunch of plays early in the training camp that, you know, you realize that was a good move for him. And then the position as a whole, again, it's incomplete right now. We've got a lot of work to do, but we've also had, you know, a guy here, a guy there, a guy here, a guy there, miss a practice here, a practice there, a practice here, a practice there. So I'll be hopefully much better equipped to answer that question a week, 10 days from now than I am right now. It's been a bit of a hodgepodge, a bit of a roller coaster, but the guys are trying and you know, when they're out there, they make plays certainly and have shown flashes. We've got to get a consistent two deep that's able to practice, you know, an extended period of time over the course of multiple days before we really pass judgment on them.
Got one last one. Go ahead, Jake.
Coach, last year, Mayor Adler made today Cedric Benson Day. Was wondering what thoughts of Cedric are with you and the team today.
We miss him. Miss him a lot. You know, he was really good ambassador for Texas football. And, you know, anytime a person leaves this earth, you know, at that age, you know, you always want to ask, what if, what would he be doing today if he were with us? And so, you know, we do miss him, and one of the great Longhorns of you know, at least in recent history. And you know, when you think about it, as we have done today, you know, it brings up the emotions of his passing last year. And, you know, really the only thing I can say is we miss him. And we hope his family and everybody that was close to him is doing well.